I have a question which I often ask myself. What is the core of Swami Vivekananda's philosophy? When you ask what is the core of Shankaracharya's philosophy of Advaita, the answer is straight. Everybody knows it. Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. Shankaracharya says that the one alone, Brahman alone is the reality. The many which we perceive is mithya, an illusion, an appearance alone. When you ask Ramanujacharya, what is the core of his philosophy? He will say, the one is the whole, God is the whole, and we all jivas, and this jada jagat, all these are all parts of God. The many are the parts, and the one is the whole. God is Purnam, we are the Amsha. God is Amshi, we are Amshas. When you ask the great Dvaitavadi, Madhvacharya, what is his philosophy? He will say the one is also real, the many are also real, and they are different. What then is Swami Vivekananda's position? Swami Vivekananda himself was asked this question, and his answer is enlightening and very, very important. This is what I shall discuss this afternoon. Swami Vivekananda was asked, Swamiji, is it true that Buddha said that the world is in a flux, the many are real and always changing, and the ego is unreal? That Orthodox Hinduism teaches that the one is real, the many are false. Swami Vivekananda said yes. And what Ramakrishna Paramahansa and I have done is to show that the many and the one are the same reality, seen by the same mind at different times in different attitudes. This is, I feel, this is a key which will unlock the varied mysteries, the enormous dimension of Swami Vivekananda's teaching. Swami Vivekananda is saying that the many and the one are the same reality. Brahman alone is real, and that appears as this manifold world. When we look at this world, these words are wonderful, but when we look at this world, our question is, where is Brahman? Bhagavan Kothai, this is our question. And here Sri Ramakrishna helps us in his inimitable way. Sri Ramakrishna says, Chinite balite mishe ache, পিঁপড়ে আলাদা করতে পারে, দুধে জলে মিশে আছে, হাঁস রাজহাঁস আলাদা করতে পারে. And very amusingly he says, গোলমালে মাল আছে, গোলটি বাদ দিয়ে মালটি লও. He says, sand and sugar are mixed, the ant can separate them. Milk and water are mixed, the swan can separate them. And the other one, very difficult to translate into English, golmale maal ache, but you can understand. Swami Vivekananda was an expert at this, separating the two. The very word Vivekananda comes from Viveka, discrimination. Viveka comes from the Sanskrit root Vivich. Vivich means Vivich Prithak Karane, to separate, to differentiate, to discriminate. Swami Ramakrishnanandaji, in his beautiful salutation to Swami Vivekananda, says of Swami Vivekananda, Anitya drishyeshu vivichya nityam. He says, in this manifold world which we are seeing, living beings and non-living things, this inert world also, it is anitya drishya, constantly changing, a transient world. In this anitya drishya also, Swami Vivekananda was able to discriminate, to find out, to locate, to identify the nityam. There is something unchanging. There is something luminous in this mass of inert matter. Swami Vivekananda was able to do that. Anitya drishyeshu vivichya nityam. Not only that, tasmin samadhatta ihasma leelaya. Just like play, as a child plays, it was so easy for him to go into samadhi, to merge himself in that nitya. In the midst of this anitya drishya, there is anitya. There is an eternal God, an eternal reality, and Swamiji could playfully merge himself into that eternal reality. Yosau viveki tamaham namami. That viveki I salute. That expert in viveka who can separate the sand and the sugar, the milk and the water, and who can take the mal out of the golmal. That Viveki I salute, Swami Ramakrishnananda ji says. And this was a tendency in Swami Vivekananda all throughout. There is a letter written by Sharat Chandra to Swami Vishwananda, where he says about this tendency of Swami Vivekananda to go straight to the reality. Sharat Chandra says, one day he told me something which I have not published in the conversations between the disciple Swami Shishya Sambad. He did not publish it, but he wrote it in a letter to Vishwanandaji. He said, Swami Vivekananda once told me, on the banks of Lake Michigan, one evening his mind was about to merge in Brahman, a kind of final samadhi, and Sri Ramakrishna appeared before him. And again he was reminded of the mission which Sri Ramakrishna had bestowed upon him. And again he came back to this relative plane. And Sharat Chandra writes, I have not told this to anybody. I had recorded it in my diary. I am just writing it to you. Sister Nivedita writes, Swami Vivekananda, apparently we did not see any specific tapasya, but his whole life was of such intense concentration that for anyone else it would have been the most terrible tapasya. The tremendous concentration throughout his life. She says that there was time when he would sit for meditation in India, in fact, and his whole body would become covered with mosquitoes, black with mosquitoes, and so immersed he was in the reality within, he would not feel it. In America, it often happened, Sister Nivedita records, that he would go for lectures in the tram, and once he would sit in the tram, and the tram would take him to the venue for the lectures. When he sat there in the tram, he would go into meditation and samadhi. And the tram would go round the whole circuit. He would forget to get down at his venue. And the tram would finish the whole circuit of the city and come back. Not once, several times. And Sister Nivedita records that Swamiji was ashamed of this. And he tried hard to control this tendency to merge into the infinite within. What did he discover in this diving deep into the one reality amidst the changing many? What did he discover? Swami Vivekananda says later on, in a number of places he has said, there are these two extremes. Those who feel that I shall cut myself off from the world and retire to a Himalayan cave to meditate, to be in samadhi and give up the body there, ignoring the world, he has missed the way. He who plunges headlong into the enjoyments of the world, he too has missed the way. Two extremes. Ignoring the world, the many altogether, trying to find the one apart from the many. The other one, ignoring the one, taking the material world as it is and diving deep into enjoyment, make merry as long as life lasts. Swamiji says both these extremes, they have missed the way, they have missed the goal. Then what is the way? In a number of places Swami Vivekananda has said, the way out is, I put it as the Vedanta teaches you, Swamiji says, the way out is to defy the world. Mark the words, defy the world. Here is the world before you. Swamiji says, see Brahman in this world. Brahman is appearing, verily the ultimate reality is appearing, the one reality is appearing as the many before you. Swamiji says, to be religious, what do I have to do? To turn out my wife or my children from the home? No. He says, the husband can remain, the wife can remain, the children will remain. See God in the husband, see God in the wife, see God in the children. This was Swami Vivekananda's message. And this in fact is the Vedantic teaching. Isha vasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Whatever you see in this world, the manifold world, all this is pervaded by the Lord. Not only pervaded, vasyam, it means you have to pervade it in the sense of recognize the existing reality. There is an underlying reality, an existence, consciousness, bliss right here. Recognize it. How? For example, you see the Ganga here. So many waves in the Ganges. The waves, each wave is small, comes up at some time and then disappears. Each wave is different from the other wave, but all the waves are water. As water pervades all the waves, as this table and chair and this lectern, all are wood, wood pervades all these things. Similarly, as gold pervades all ornaments, similarly, there is one existence and consciousness which pervades all of us. Every existent being here is pervaded by one reality. Swami Vivekananda says, recognize that reality. When you dive deep in meditation within, you find that reality inside. It is your very self. Swami Vivekananda used to emphasize this. The core teaching of Hinduism, Tattvamasi, you are that divinity. What you are within, that itself is manifesting as this external world. And when you open your eyes, you see this world, God is appearing in all these forms you serve. Swami Ranganathanandaji was fond of saying this. What is spirituality? Spirituality is closing your eyes in meditation, you find peace within. Opening your eyes, you see the world and you say, what can I do for you? What is the difference between this and worldliness? A worldly person, when we close our eyes, Bhetore Ashanti. There is no peace within. When you open our eyes, I want chai, 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 I want this, I want that. Just the opposite is spirituality. Close your eyes, find peace within. Open your eyes, I give. I remember when I joined the order some 18 years ago in Deoghar, Swami Gahananandaji Maharaj had come and he met the newcomers, those who had joined, and he asked all of us, why have you become sadhus? And each of us gave some reply. I want peace, I want God realization, I want to have a beautiful life, a peaceful life, a joyous life, a life of renunciation. I want this, I want that. And Gahananandaji Maharaj smiled and he told us, Shavai pete eshecho, kyo dite ashoni? I did not like that answer. Honestly, I did not like that answer. I thought, we are newcomers. What can we give? We have come to get spiritual training or instruction or realization or whatever. But as I go on in life and as I read Swami Vivekananda, I understand what he was trying to tell us. He said, if you want peace, you have to give. If you want spiritual bliss, if you want realization, you have to give. As a practice, wherever you are, whatever you are, in whatever position you are, sadhu, brahmachari, householder, student, aged person, you give, you will get. Now this is the core. Sister Nivedita caught this tune very powerfully. In her introduction to the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, she says, this doctrine of the one and the many are the same reality, is the crowning achievement of our master's life. Sister Nivedita says that the one and the many are the same reality. This insight is the crowning achievement of the life of Swami Vivekananda. I cannot resist reading it out to you what Sister Nivedita has said there. Sister Nivedita says, she draws out the implications of this doctrine. If the many and the one be indeed the same reality, then it is not all modes of worship alone, but equally all modes of work, all modes of struggle, all modes of creation, which are paths of realization. No distinction henceforth between sacred and secular. To labor is to pray, to conquer is to renounce. Life is itself religion. This is something tremendous. The barrier between the sacred and the secular is lifted. Not that the spiritual has become secular. Rather, what she is saying, Swami Vivekananda wanted the spiritualization of all that we consider to be secular. The whole of this life becomes spiritual. Why this is important? I remember a few years ago in the Institute of Culture, the noted philosopher, Professor J.N. Mahanti, was asked to define what is religion. And he said, it seems to me a simple definition of religion would be the sense of the sacred as contrasted with the secular. So this is the traditional understanding of religion. There is something sacred, there is something secular. Something dharmo or something which is jagotic. This difference Swami Vivekananda erased by saying one and the many, Brahman and this world are the same reality, seen by the same mind in different attitudes. Wiping out this difference. It's a tremendous statement whose implications I think we have still not worked out. We are in the process of working out. Sister Nivedita goes on to say, Swami Vivekananda is therefore Because he says one and the many are the same reality, therefore Swami Vivekananda is a great preacher of karma, not divorced from, but as expressing jnana and bhakti. Jnana and bhakti are expressed through karma. Jnana and bhakti are expressed through service. This is Sister Nivedita's point of view. She further says that once Swami Vivekananda told her, art, science and religion are all expressing the same truth. There is one reality which is being expressed by art, science and religion. But Swami Vivekananda added, you have to have this Advaitic basis to understand this. This can be understood by the theory of Advaita alone. Doubts come. During the time of Swami Vivekananda, there were doubts about this. Even now there are doubts. When Swami Vivekananda formed the Ramakrishna Mission Association, after the meeting, Swami Yogananda stood up and said, "Eshab tomar bideshi dhar bhaber kaj hocche. Paramahamsa Deber upadesh ki ei roop chilo. What you are doing, you're setting up these institutions, organizations, schools, colleges, relief work. All these are foreign Western ideas. Do you think that Paramahamsa Dev taught this?" And Swami Vivekananda replied, "Tora Paramahamsa Dev ke kototuku bujhesish? Ananta bhavmoy Thakur. Sri Ramakrishna is much vaster than what you have understood him to be." And Swami Yogananda agreed. He said that I can clearly see that Thakur is doing all this through you. Master Mahashaya, he had long-standing doubts about what Swami Vivekananda was doing. Once he asked Swami Vivekananda, "Eshob tomar je paropokar jibe dayar je karma tumi arambho korecho সব মায়ার মধ্যে, এসব তো মায়া। অদ্বৈত মত কি এই নয় যে সাধন ভজন করে মায়ার পারে যাওয়া? তাহলে লোককে এইসব উপদেশ দিয়ে মায়ায় জড়ানো কেন?" This was his question. All these works you are doing, these are in Maya. Isn't it the aim of Advaita to go beyond this Maya through practice of renunciation and a lot of other spiritual practices? Swami Vivekananda with a smile replied, "Apnar ei mukti, etao to mayar moddhe." I said, Advaita, Master Mahashaya is saying, Advaita means attaining your own mukti. By spiritual struggle, go beyond Maya. Swami Vivekananda said, "Muktio ki mayar moddhe noy? Nityo mukto atmar mukti cheshta keno? Why do you want to struggle for liberation of Atman, which you yourself admit to be Nitya Mukta?" He is only echoing here the verse of Gaudapada in Mandukya Karika, that Paramarthata, there is no bound person, no liberated person also. Of course, Master Mahashaya kept quiet at that moment, but he was not fully convinced until much later. In Kashi Shevashram, when Holy Mother, Ma Sharoda, was going around in the hospital and seeing the monks working there, serving the poor, the patients, and she said immediately, joyfully, "Thakur bicharan korchen, ami dekhchi eshab tar kaj. Sri Ramakrishna, I feel his presence here. All these works which the monks are doing are his work." Swami Brahmananda immediately, intelligently, he told a brahmachari, "Go and tell Master Mahashaya." Master Mahashaya was there. The brahmachari went and told. Master Mahashaya also understood. And he laughed and he said, "Namanbar to arjo nahi." There is no other way of staying without recognizing this truth, that what Swami Vivekananda has started is Sri Ramakrishna's own work. But I think one should go a little deeper. These are doubts at that time. Even now, there are scholars who say that there is a discontinuity between what we find the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and the work started by Swami Vivekananda. And they are not to be blamed for this. It is not easy to catch. However, there is a way of catching the continuity. I feel the way is this. If we look at Sri Ramakrishna's teachings, there are a number of things which Sri Ramakrishna insisted on repeating in different occasions. When he would go to Vaishnavas, he would give Vaishnava teachings, no doubt. When he would with Brahmo Samaj people, he would talk about the Nirakara, no doubt. And he would talk about Divine Mother at all times, no doubt. But certain things Sri Ramakrishna insisted on repeating again and again. For example, Jari Nitto Tari Lila. He repeated this. He insisted. Shagun Nirgun Ek. Je Shagun Tini Nirgun. He used to repeat it, push it through. Then he would talk about the Vigyani. Neti neti kore, opare uthe, a person climbs a house. He goes through the stairs and goes to the roof. When he goes to the roof, he finds that whatever material the roofs are made of, cement and bricks and all, the same thing, the stairs and the rest of the house is also made up of that. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Vigyani. He sees that everything is God. Sri Ramakrishna would repeat, Chok bando korle tini achen, chok khulle tini nahi. He would make it a point to repeat these things. And the importance of Bhavamukha in the life of Sri Ramakrishna is very profound. What its implications are, it is not very easy to understand, but it is all connected. Now what I am saying is, look at Bhavamukha stage, look at the Vigyani concept, look at the Nitto or Jari Nitto Tari Leela, look at this Chok Bando Korle Tini Achen, Chok Khulle Tini Nahi. All of this you look, and there is a continuity running through all of this. And then we understand when Swami Vivekananda says that the one and the many are the same reality, and Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa and I, we have done this. He claims that this is also the philosophy of Sri Ramakrishna. Once this is established, now look at Swami Vivekananda's teachings. The wide, the huge spectrum of his teachings. There is no aspect of life which he has not touched. And you relate it to the one and the many are the same reality. If one Brahman alone is manifesting as this universe, as all jivas, then what will be the correlate of the identity of one Brahman in this manifold world? It can only be harmony. In this world we see difference. We are different. Each of us appear to be different from each other. Our tastes are different. Our natures are different. Then the way to understand the oneness within each of us, to manifest that oneness, would be harmony. And Sri Ramakrishna says, Je samannoy koreche shei lok. Sri Ramakrishna stressed harmony tremendously. Swami Vivekananda taught this harmony. He taught the harmony of religions. I will not dilate upon that. That's a very big issue and definitely most relevant today in the 21st century. The harmony of religions. Not only that all religions are true, not only that all religions lead to the same goal, but there is a harmony, an economy of religions. In the economy of God, there are each religion occupies a certain position, plays a definite role. The harmony of yogas, Gyan Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga. Swami Vivekananda clearly says each of these is a way to God, no doubt. And this is something recognized by all the Shastras. All our Sanatana Dharma Shastras for thousands of years have given variety of paths to God realization. I often say Hinduism is a full spectrum religion. Here you have the most grossest of idol worship to the most abstract, almost an atheistic kind of bhava. All of this is there. But Swami Vivekananda says, it is true that they are all paths, individually paths to God realization, but he insists on an harmony of them. He says, if one wants to follow Sri Ramakrishna truly, one must have a harmony of the yogas in his life. Nale Ramakrishna Moshai Druto Hainishe. Harmony of science and religion. As I said earlier, Swami Vivekananda said, science, art and religion are expressing the same truth if you understand it through Advaita. I was speaking recently with a young monk who is a mathematician in our Vivekananda University, and I was telling him that Advaita Vedanta, traditional Advaita Vedanta would look at, in askance, would look skeptically at the attempt of science to reach reality. And he said something very interesting. He said, from the world of this manifold world, you are trying to realize Brahman through Advaita Vedanta, is it not? I said, yes. So if Advaita Vedanta is a path from the many to the one, science, which is also in this world of this manifold world, why can it not be a path from the many to the one? Science also can be a path. Swami Vivekananda wanted this harmony of science and religion. He wanted the harmony of the East and the West. This is a strong point. He made this point again and again. The culture of the West, he said, that does express one aspect of the reality. And our culture in India expresses another aspect of reality, and it will be useful, it will be beneficial to combine them, to harmonize them. Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, with which I started, the philosophy of Shankaracharya, the philosophy of Ramanujacharya, the philosophy of Madhvacharya, Swami Vivekananda's doctrine of one and the many. This is a matrix in which you can harmonize all of these. Sri Ramakrishna also used to say this. Sometimes he would speak from the Dvaita point of view, sometimes from the Vishishtadvaita point of view, sometimes from the Advaita point of view. And so would Swami Vivekananda. And he would say these are all true. God is different from the Jiva from one point of view. You are part of God from another point of view. And you are absolutely one with God. Swami Vivekananda would say in the Advaita point of view, the consciousness within is not part of God. Each Jiva is the whole of the reality. Advaita point of view. One is reminded of Hanuman's answer to Ramachandra. When Ramachandra asked Hanuman, how do you see me? Hanuman replied, Deha buddhya dasoham. When I think of myself as a body, I am thy servant. Deha buddhya dasoham. Jiva buddhya twadangshaka. When I think of myself as a mind with a consciousness, antakarana with consciousness, Jiva, I am part of you, of Ramachandra, who is Narayana himself. And Atma buddhya tvamevaham. As my Atman, as the reality within, you and I are the same. Itime nishchitavati. So Hanuman, most wise, he said, from the point of view of the body, Dvaitavada. From the point of view of the Jiva, Vishishtadvaitavada. But from Shuddha Atma, it is Advaita. Swami Vivekananda agrees with this. And the one and the many, this doctrine, in fact, gives a philosophical basis for generating these different approaches to the Vedantic truth. Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, Advaita, and other Vedantic doctrines also. Practical Vedanta. Very important doctrine of Swami Vivekananda. This has been discussed again and again. How Vedanta can be practical, whether it can be practical or not. Swami Gambhiranandaji has given a beautiful analysis. He says, when a person attains Brahmajnana, becomes a Jivan Mukta, there may be three approaches to the many. He has realized the one. He knows Aham Brahmasmi. But when he sees this world again, when there is Vitthana, he sees this world again, there may be three approaches. One is, he may want to remain immersed in the one, in Brahman. When Swami Vivekananda attained Nirvikalpa Samadhi, he asked Sri Ramakrishna, I would like to remain in this state. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. But that is one option. Gambhiranji Maharaj says, he may remain immersed in Samadhi. He may remain immersed, detached from the world completely. That is one way. He is also Jivan Mukta, definitely. There is a second way. Gambhiranji Maharaj says, he may see this world as a wonder. Anirvachaniya, remain in bliss as how God is expressing himself in this world. Anirvachaniya. There was someone like a madman in Dakshineshwar who would sometimes come out of the hut, rush out and see, wow, he would say, what a wonder this world is. How amazing God has created. So this blissful reaction, the reaction of world as Anirvachaniya expression of God. And there is a third option. Gambhiranji Maharaj says, the Jivan Mukta sees the sufferings of humanity, sees God in all these forms and reacts with sympathy, with love, with great feeling. This third option, this third path is what Swami Vivekananda is talking about in practical Vedanta. I often think when we are thinking about these philosophies, one and the many and so on and so forth, is this the right way to understand Swami Vivekananda? Because Sister Nivedita says, when you read Swami Vivekananda, how to read Swami Vivekananda, don't take up texts and impose your ideas upon them. Keep Swamiji in front of you as if he is speaking. Then you will understand what Swamiji is trying to say. So Swami Vivekananda, when he felt for others, it was not that he was thinking one and the many are the same reality. Here is the many, must be the one, therefore I must help them. No. When Swamiji helped them, he helped out of deep sympathy, with love. He felt very much. He said, Haribhai, I don't understand this so-called religion of yours, but I feel deeply, my heart has expanded very much. This was the core. So from this comes practical Vedanta, the third track which Gambhiranji Maharaj speaks of. People did not understand. When Akhandananda Maharaj wrote to Pramodadash Babu, that I am starting this orphanage in Murshidabad according to the dictates of Swami Vivekananda. Pramoda Das Babu from Banaras wrote back, for sannyasi it is better to beg to remain with Shravan Manan Nididhyasana, not to be engaged in all this work. Akhandanji wrote back in a fiery letter. He wrote back, he said, I know my Lord is always with me. I am Brahman, my Lord is my own, within me my Lord is always present. সেই ভগবান যিনি আমার মধ্যে আছেন তিনিই তো আমাকে বলছেন মানুষের মধ্যেই তো ঋষিমুনি, মানুষের মধ্যেই তো অবতার, সেই মানুষের আজ কি শোচনীয় অবস্থা দেখছিস নি? This is what the Lord within is telling me. How can I ignore this? এই মানুষের জন্য আমার একটি জীবন দিচ্ছি, জানি না আরো কত জীবন দিতে হবে. So this was the third track, the practical Vedanta manifestation of the philosophy of the one and the many. Similarly, all other teachings, for example, definition of religion, that religion, each soul is potentially divine, the goal is to manifest this divinity within. I used to think, why not realize this divinity within? Why not know this divinity within? Why manifest? But if one and the many are the same reality, then it has to be manifested in this world. Swami Vivekananda said, I will conclude with this, Swami Vivekananda said that my mission in this world can be put in a few words: to preach unto mankind their inner divinity and how to make it manifest in every movement of life. You see these two things. Why is it adding this and how to make it manifest in every movement of life? This was the bhava of Sri Ramakrishna himself. This is the teaching of the avatar of this age. That religion is not only a matter of internal realization, it must be reflected in life, it must be manifested in this manifold, because one and the many are the same reality. Swami Vivekananda, he designed this new order. You see how, this is the last point I will make, how one and the reality, one and the many are the same reality. You see in the new order which he designed, we are sitting here in Belur Mutt in the Ramakrishna Sangha, and Swami Vivekananda started this new monastic order and he said, Atmano mokshartham jagat hitaya cha, for your own realization and for the welfare of the world. This welfare of the world is not a byproduct. It is not something added. In Bengali we say lejur. Bhagavan লাভ করাটাই উদ্দেশ্য, জগৎ হিতটা যেন একটা বাই প্রোডাক্ট একটা লেজুর জুড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে. It is not that. If one and the many are the same reality, it follows directly from that you will try for your own liberation, and at the same time it also means, literally it means serving others. What is true of the Jivan Mukta is also true of us. This is the thing to be realized. Shankaracharya says when Arjuna asks Sthitapragyasya ka bhasha, in that shloka, in the Bhashya, Shankaracharya says, Yani eva kritarthasya lakshanani, tani eva sadhakasya sadhanani, yatna sadhyatvat. Whatever are the characteristics of the kritartha jivan mukta sthita pragya, those are the sadhanas for the sadhaka. Those who want to realize that state, they must follow that very same thing, yatna sadhyatvat. They are attainable through effort. So, Swami Vivekananda's doctrine of the one and the many being the same reality seems to be at the core of the vast treasury of Swami Vivekananda's teachings, the secret of his life when he's rushing towards Nirvikalpa Samadhi at one end, and again talking about the welfare of the world, of these countrymen at the other extreme. The unifying theme is this doctrine of the one and the many. I pray to Thakur Ma and Swamiji, may they give us that insight in this very life. Thank you very much.